Uh, mm, oh, oh, God. Anybody here? Anybody? Party people? Hello? Nacho? Young? PWG? What else we got here? Young? Nacho? Cox? Time to kiss boys yet? It sure is. Yeah. Let's make out, man. All right, thank you guys so much for being here. Yet another live stream. Thought we could start one more time by doing a short Q&A, and then once again we'll be getting to the roastings momentarily. But why don't you just, guys, why don't you ask me anything? I have Ableton open. We can do some production walkthroughs if you have any questions there. You can ask me about my Uncle Joe. Whatever floats your boat, guys. You guys got anything you want to talk about? Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Provolone cheese has got to be my favorite. And provolone's pretty good. Provolone, not bad. Manchego. Guida, like Gouda, smoked Gouda. Are my lessons worldwide? Yes, I have students from around the world. It does not matter where you're at, as long as you have a decent internet connection, we good to go. Talk about song structure. I did a video on that. You can check that out. You can show us drum synths, drum and bass, jungle tips, please. Fuck. Drum and bass. Yeah, sure. Let's do some drum and bass. I mean, most basic drum and bass pattern, I think drum and bass is around 180. And then the most basic drum and bass pattern would just be the, let's just do the simple, kind of, boom, bop, boom, bop, boom, bop. Right, so kick on the, snare on the 2 and 4, kick on the 1 and the 1-3-3, BPM at around 180. But really, if you want to start getting intricate, what we really need is to chop up a break. And there's no better break than the Amen break, party people. So there's actually really no better piece of recorded music on the planet other than this Amen break. Of course, it needs to be faster, but check this out. Right, and then you got drum and bass right there. That's all you need to do. That's all it ever was. And of course, you could chop this up if you would like, so we can go to our simpler. And then the nice thing about the simpler is that you can actually slice by beat. And because we warped this, it already knows the BPM of the track. Instead of doing quarter note division, we could do the 8th note and then start rearranging the pattern here. So let's just make it really loud. So we can just lay down a real simple pattern. Where is it? So let's just do the regular old staircase. Up we go to the heavens. And then let's just take a listen here. I think the staircase might be a bit too narrow for Uncle Joe to walk up. So let's take a listen there. That's a bit too fast. Let's make it a little slower so we can hit the times. Pro tip, by the way, if you guys want a clip to go half the speed it previously was, you just hit the times 2. If you want to go twice as fast, you can hit divide by 2. Pretty nifty, right? Let's do a little faster. And then finally, once you have these kind of arranged in this standard staircase, you can start doing all sorts of fun patterns. So let's just do something random here. I'm just going to start rearranging these. Wow, this is amazing. Right. Wow. Right, but obviously you want this to be twice as fast. Amazing. Higher. Faster. Faster. Oh, too fast. Right, but then once you got that going, then it's time to bring in the beat repeat. And we learned about this in Derek's drinking problem a couple of weeks back. Then we start repeating it up and just see how it happens. Once again, I find it personally more fun to take the chance not to zero, be realistic about things in life, and then just use the manual repeat function. Right. And then you got fucking Aphex Twin right there. Turn down the pitch decay, do the volume decay. Right. Right. Fucking amazing right there. That's how you make every single drum and bass / jungle song out there. Alright? Cool. Alright. Hey Underbelly, is there a way to dry wet half timing or double timing stuff in Ableton? Kind of like Gross Beat or Time Shaper from Cable Guys. You know, I don't know what Gross Beat or Time Shaper is, so I'm not really sure. How do I use Ableton's Impulse? You don't, dude. Ableton's Impulse sucks. Is there an easy way to quantize MIDI and WAV files simultaneously? Oof, great question. I don't think there are. Audio, what was it? Audio and WAV file simultaneously? Let's try it real quick. So here we have an audio and a WAV file. Yeah, I don't think there is an easy way because Live just introduced the ability to select multiple MIDI files at the same time in Live 10. But unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to select both an audio and MIDI file at the same time. So I'm not sure if there's a way to quantize them. What you could do is just apply the same groove to them. So you go to the groove pool over on the bottom left corner and then do kind of the same groove, say quantize 16th notes on the... Wow, sounds amazing. And then you can use the exact same groove on your drum break. So go to the groove pool, hit 16 quantize. Right, this is just a very hypothetical situation, not with this ass beat. All right, cool. Let's move on. Should talk about layering. Yeah, okay. So layering is pretty cool. You know, I think a very useful technique is to layer organic breaks, acoustic drums, such as, you know, maybe the Amen break, or something like... Right, something like this classic break, the Think People break, and then just layering that with these electronic drums here. So the technique of layering electronic drums across acoustic sounds really sounds pretty good because you kind of get the best of both worlds, party people. Right. That kind of sounds like ass. Let's do something a little bit more fun. Right. Right. Kind of a ass beat right there, but let's talk about maybe using this drum beat instead. Right. And you know, maybe there's some sort of universe where that can sound good. Here's the thing though, a lot of people layer snares, claps on top of one another, and those usually sound great. Layering multiple clap sounds together sounds really awesome. Layering multiple snares on top of one another sounds great. Layering multiple layers of high-end percussion also sounds great. Layering multiple kicks on top of one another is really problematic because, first off, the low end frequency range of electronic music, all music, is very, very limited, and it's most likely that your two kicks are hitting completely different notes. So, for example, I have the J-Rob independent kick, shout out to J-Rob. The note that's being held on the J-Rob independent kick is, what is that? So let's open up the EQ. It's looking like that's a C sharp 1 hitting around 70 hertz. And then over on the Joseph kick, let's go ahead and take a look as to what note is being hit there. That's hitting more of A. Okay, A and C sharp. So when we layer them together, the A and the C sharp are going to clash with one another. Let's try it real quick. So let's just put the J-Rob on top of the Joseph. Sounds kind of terrible. What we can do here is maybe pitch the J-Rob kick down so that it's hitting an A. Let's try it. So let's go ahead and look at the J-Rob. Pitch it down, 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 down we go. Let's see, is that too low? A, G sharp. Okay, so that's kind of hitting an A now. So now they're hitting the same note there, which probably should sound better. But even then though, see that here's the thing. When you're layering two different kicks on top of one another, it's probably best to take out the low end out of every single kick except for your booty kick. That way you're layering more of the textures of the kick together, the more higher frequency information that gives the kick its character, rather than having those low end frequencies clash with one another. Just a pro tip, party people. Alright, let's move on. Cool. Why not making your own drum pattern? What is the sample pack that I like to use the most? Medicine and Decaps Drums That Knock are my favorite sample packs for show. Gain staging. Man, you know, the gain staging stuff, I don't really use it that much. Basically, if you just allow your kick and snare to peak around -6 dB, you should be good to go. Anything higher than that, and you're probably going to run into headroom issues and start to clip on your master. How would I approach working with a vocalist? Ooh, I think we tried that earlier and I fucked up. So, yeah. Derek, can I leave these live streams online so we can watch them later? Yeah, it's available for up to a week after, and then I've just hidden them all in unlisted playlist, which you can find by just going to the playlists tab on my channel. The reason why I unlist them is because nobody gets through the hour-long live stream just watching them by themselves. So as a result, my average watch time on my YouTube channel decreases, which actually lowers my ranking in YouTube's search algorithm. So that's why I can't keep them up the whole time. I hope you understand, party people. What is the most important thing for know when using the program? Fuck, man. I mean, I don't know. Just, you open it up, turn off warp by default in the preferences. That's actually a great tip, Sarah. Josh, you'll notice that if you were to open up a track, just drag a full song into Ableton, and let me just turn this on real quick. So let's just say we were to drag some sort of full song into Ableton. Most likely what's going to happen is that once you drag the song into an audio track, Live will have placed a bunch of strange warp markers on the track, and it sounds really, really fucked up. So let me just demonstrate that to you. Let me just do this, move that to the trash, get rid of the ASD file because I don't actually have any songs here. Yeah, you'll notice that Live starts warping, and then it probably places a bunch of really weird warp markers, and your whole thing ends up sounding like shit. The thing is, Live is pretty terrible at recognizing the BPM of a track right off the bat. It kind of needs some help for you to guide it along. So if you guys have a song, let's say, let's just find a song around here. Better Humans. Let's see. Yeah, let's just take Hudson Mohawk's song. Thank you. It's a great song. So you'll notice that if you were to drag it into live, live places a bunch of these strange warp markers, and when we play it, enable the metronome. Whoa. This sounds fucking terrible. Right, it's completely misaligned with the BPM, the metronome, and all that. So we kind of have to guide live along when it comes to warping tracks. So what we can do is just take that play marker, and what we're going to do to kind of find the correct BPM of this track is to move that play marker, this thing right here, this little triangle hanging out, to the first downbeat of the song. And when I say downbeat, that's most often the first kick or bass hit that you hear. First kick or bass hit in this song seems to come around right a little earlier than that. Let's see. Right. So that's very clearly the beginning of that phrase. So let's just move the play marker, do that downbeat. So we're just going to move the play marker to right there. We want to be really accurate here. We want to really make sure that live is being given the appropriate information as to where the song is really starting. Right, so that starts sounding pretty good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to right click on that play marker and hit warp from here straight. And what that's going to do is it's going to much more accurately detect the BPM of the track. So what live is telling us is that the BPM of this track is 132.74. Let's go ahead and verify this by pressing the metronome button here, and we're just going to listen along and hear how it sounds. So it's not super accurate. So what we have to do is just kind of take a look at the waveform here, and you notice that there's these big bumps around, and they look kind of random. They seem to be misaligned with the beat grid on top. So for example, this bump here, what does that sound like? So that looks like, to me, it's a kick. It's a big bump. Generally, kicks and snares need to be aligned with the beat grid if we want this to sound in time. So what we're going to do is just take that little bump right there and click and drag it to the left so that we're pretty much more aligned with the grid. And let's just hear how that sounds. That's fucking terrible. Let's try this. There we go. Okay, so now that's finally sounding in time. Right. So now we've reached the appropriate BPM of this track, 141 basically. And we only have one warp marker. The track is the exact same BPM throughout, so we don't really need more than one. And that, my friends, is why you should take the auto warping of long samples off, party people. Okay, it's really annoying, gets in the way of things. Excellent tip right there. Thank you, Josh, for asking. Thank you, Saab, for addressing. Sarah77, give me your best Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. I can't do that, dude. Why don't you just use your money to a better cause and just submit a track for me to roast? I'm not an actor. Okay, any albums you can recommend for sample hunting? Fuck, man. I mean, anything by James Brown is fucking pillaged to death. If you want to go for a decent website that has a bunch of really great vinyl samples, I would go to vinylfrontierrefali.com. Let me just paste that into our chat here. Really great samples, bunch of rips of really old school, hard to find, rare groove vinyl records. Really great sounds there. I would highly recommend checking that out. Cox, Underbelly, I'm going to buy a computer soon. Which one do you use? I'm using a MacBook Pro. Just get a MacBook. You don't need to go Windows, you dingus. Underbelly, can you show us how a finished project fled? Show us a finished project file where you utilized LCR mixing. What is LCR mixing? I don't know what that is. Let's keep dragging going up, see what else people are asking. Quick question. How do I approach labels? That's a very excellent question, Caleb. So before approaching labels, just make sure that obviously your track is completely finished, mixed and mastered, sounds amazing, you're totally sick of it, you're done working on it, it's the best possible music you could ever make. Then once you have that going, make sure that you've established some sort of visual aesthetic for yourself, cover art, something that goes along with the track. Most often labels will probably want to do their own cover art, but regardless, fuck them. Have your own cover art, visual aesthetic ready to go. Then make a list of 5 artists that your track sounds similar to or release sounds similar to. Then find the blogs, Spotify playlists, SoundCloud collectives that shared music by those artists or posted them, or labels that release music with those artists in mind. What you're trying to do is find the people behind those Spotify playlists, blogs, labels, SoundCloud collectives, YouTube promoters, etc., that have written or posted or released music similar to yours before, which thus makes them perfect targets for you to approach and pitch your music. Labels, YouTube promoters, Spotify playlists, SoundCloud, artist collectives, they're all the same shit these days. Because of the internet, there's absolutely no difference. All that matters is how much reach you can get. So a label don't mean shit in 2018. So what you're going to do is, find all those people behind those Spotify playlists, artist collectives, etc. Find their personal email, find their Twitter, find their Instagram, just stalk them a little bit. And then when you've found the appropriate information, then just be like, hey, I really liked what you wrote about so-and-so. I really liked what you released with blah, blah, blah. I really like what you do, etc. Just flatter them a little bit. I have something that I think would be a great fit. Do you mind if I pass it along? Don't open with just fucking check my SoundCloud, bro, and sending them a link. Nobody's gonna fuck with that. Be courteous, be kind, be like a human being. And if they don't respond after a week, follow up. If they don't respond after that, then it wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. So that would be my approach for approaching labels and getting your music released. Here's the thing though. So I mentioned that you shouldn't open with a link, but don't have like a fake conversation for like a week or whatever and then do the ask. Either go for the ask pretty early on, or actually try and develop a relationship with this person after, 2 or 3 months, a year, etc. If it's somewhere in the middle, if you're just like talking with them for a day and then you ask, you look kind of sociopathic, like you're using them, like you only talk to them just because they had a label and you wanted to show them your music. And it just looks really bad. Trust me, I've done it before. So, yeah, if you have any more promo questions, feel free to ask. Best piece of advice I can get, create the kind of a Google spreadsheet with all those people behind those labels, collectives, etc., so that you are organized, and probably will have to hit like 50 to 100 people up to get somewhere decent. Cool. Yeah, SubmitHub is a great resource too. SubmitHub works. Cool. Network with your local music scene. That is definitely viable, but the thing is, you can reach so much more people than just by playing local shows and talking with people in real life. The internet has kind of made that somewhat irrelevant. You no longer need to move to LA to be somebody, party people. Okay. When I make music, it sounds to me better than it actually is. How do I know its true state while creating? Well, while creating, you're never going to know, so just give it like a week or two, and then you'll have a much better impression. Ever think of doing a track beat critique series? That's what we're going to do now. So feel free to send your tracks over to djunderbelly@gmail.com. We're going to start the roasting portion of the program momentarily. How to get a real job and keep this music crap just a hobby? Oh yeah, I'm down for that. Cool. So cool. Yeah. So first thing, we're gonna check out a beat by Firearm. This is Mellow Chill Thang parentheses beat. Shout out Firearm. Cool. Super Mellow Chill Thing by Firearm. Apologizing for the technical difficulties. I know you guys couldn't hear most of that track, but rest assured, it was a very solid lo-fi banger. One thing I noticed was that the piano sounds a little bit thin. I would maybe EQ low cut a little bit lower than you do to really let some of that lower mid frequencies of the piano come through. Just sounds like you've cut it a little bit too much. It sounds a little thin. But other than that, excellent work, Firearm. Thank you for sending. Up next, we have Oshin with Colors. Oshin, sorry I didn't get back to you on the last live stream, but let's hear it. that was Oshin with Colors, taking me back to those 2008 Avicii Levels vibes, man. That was some pop shit, man. So only thing I really noticed was that your kick and snare were just a little quiet in the mix. Make sure that they're really popping through. And you're also probably going to want a vocalist or at least a vocal sample like, oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, some shit like that. I mean, you really want you want those preteen white girls to dance to a vocal. But very good work, Oshin. Very well executed. Thank you for sending. Here we have a remake of one of my tracks. Oh boy. And this is called 7 Months by Labakais16. Okay, so I'm very excited. A remake of one of my tracks. Not sure I've heard this before. I'm very flattered already. So let's take a listen.
Hello?
Hey, Tom.
Francis.
Hi, close Joey. Steve Wyatt.
7 months?
Interesting. All right. So that was 7 Months by Labakais16. Very well executed track. Really interesting percussion. I like how you had the melody both be in the right and left channels and do slightly different things in both, and they actually pulled that off without sounding too clashing. I'm assuming this is a remake of my Busy Line track or something like that. I mean, I guess it sounded kind of similar in the beginning there. Overall, the arrangement feels a little bit short, maybe a little bit rushed. Feel free to extend certain parts or not. Shorter is probably better than too long. Other than that, very excellent work. Thank you so much for sending. All right, so let's move on. Super Ayak, we got Beats. Very descriptive title. This is Super Ayak feat Super Hot. The track is called I'm Not a Rapper. Okay. Oh man, this is looking very promising. Oh boy. All right. Let's hear some rap music. That's what the kids want these days.
You know where we at? It's prime time rapping. Let's go ahead and get into it. We got our challenger over here. Not a rapper. Let's go ahead and get into this little coin toss here. We got good luck. Hey, about luck.
You know what I do? Hey, you know how I go.
Yep, tails.
Hey. I go first. Hey, tell him.
Hold on, I want to come. Here comes Super Hot. He goes first.
Check me out.
I'm checking.
Get it. I broke up with my ex-girl. Here's the number. Psych! That's the wrong number! super hot. Now hold it down, hold it down, hold it down, hold it down.
Hey, it's announcer. I'm an announcer.
I'm not a rapper. Alright, check me out. Glasses, jacket, shirt. Call me glasses, jacket, shirt man. Call him that. I'll call me super hot boy. 100 degrees, leather jacket. Cause I'm super hot, boy. I'm not a rapper. Super hot. I'm not a rapper.
Nice. Alright.
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
What
But
career?
I'm not a rapper.
What career?
I'm not a rapper. I'm not a rapper.
Let's end this.
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
What career?
But I'm not a rapper.
What career?
Look. Boom. Bam. Bop. Bada bop. Boom. Pow. Bada bop. Pow. Bop. Bop. Bam. Pow. Bop. Bop. Bam. Pow. Bop. Bop. Bada bop. Pow. Bop. Bop. Pow. Pow. Bop. Bop. Bam. Pow. Bop. Bop. Bam. Pow. Bop. Bop. Bada bop. Pow. Bop. Bop. Pow. Pow. Bop. Bada bop. Boom. Pow. Bop. Bop. Pow. Pow. Bop. Bop. Pow. 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 Pow.
Damn, dude, that was hella entertaining. Thank you, Super IAC, for sending me that. You know, if you actually put in a decent amount of work to make the backing track, the Deep House banger, you know, something, you know, big and commercial and professional sounding, I think it would be super awesome. I think it'd be a hit in the club. I think you got to work on this, man. You put in a little bit of more effort in that backing track, you got yourself a viral hit banger. That's what the kids want these days. Thank you, Super IAC, for sending that. It was very entertaining. I enjoyed. Okay, Hayden. All right. Hayden earlier asked, I'm a producer in LA. How do I make the most of being a producer in LA? Well, you go to Low End Theory. You go to Brownies and Lemonade, you get your clout points up, you watch Tabasco Sweet videos, hang outside the Supreme store. I don't know, you figure it out. I think you can do it. Here we have Real Masters with Starving Owl.
know where we at, nigga. Now I know the Jets, nigga. Come
Yeah,
slide
nigga, come
through,
slide
nigga.
through and get your ass whacked.
Jeez about it.
I'm recording the hottest version of my career. I look at my app, man. You joining my business, man?
You better ask your old nigga how I think they your model, bitch. On skin, bro. They gon' be easy on me.
That was Starving Owl with Real Masters. Super dope lo-fi hip-hop odyssey. Noticed a little bit of Drake in there. That's my boy. Overall, I noticed that the mix, especially compared to the Super Hot 5 that we heard earlier, is quite quiet. So you might want to crank up the limiter on your master a little bit if you haven't already. Another thing I noticed was that your kick and snare kick was a little bit low in the mix, and I noticed that the snare sounded like it was composed of multiple layers. I think occasionally having that snare being composed of multiple layers sounds good, but if you have it kind of those layers spread out slightly, like you have now, it might actually lessen the impact rather than add. So maybe just have that multiple layer snare happen every once in a while, such as in a fill. Maybe just have one super solid snare cutting through the mix for the most part. And then maybe turn down the hi-hat relative to your kick and snares. Just a little bit too forward in the mix. Other than that, excellent work. Thank you for sending. Guys, if you sent me a super chat payment donation, I really appreciate it. You do get a guaranteed roasting. Unfortunately, super chat doesn't let you put links. So if you can, make your super chat message the name in your email, so I can very easily just pull it up on my email and just send your tracks over to djundermelly@gmail.com. That would be great. Cool. Awesome. So who do we have next? Studio C. All right. Here we have Studio C. Yeah, so like once again, Slugs, I will get to you because you're a nice man. And then yeah, if you have donated via super chat, I really appreciate it. I love you. I think you're the best. So just please just let me know what your name is in the email, and then I will definitely get to you. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, the messages are quite delayed. I really need to get like an external streaming box or something. Cool. All right. Let's look at Analog 4 by Studio C. This is some synth pop. All sounds from the Electron. Very impressive. Let's take a listen. that was Analog 4 by Studio C. Excellent work, Studio. Really impressive that you did do this all on hardware and simply just arranged in Ableton. The sound design, especially for this genre of music, is going to be very important. If, you know, all the chords, all the musical stuff is well executed, it's just the sound designing is a little bit thin, it's a little bit lacking, a little bit unprofessional sounding compared to a lot of other releases out there. For sound design inspiration, I would really look to an artist like Billboard, who does very synth poppy stuff like this, but everything sounds huge, massive, and I think he uses a lot of outboard analog gear as well. For example, just really make sure that your bass, kick, snare are really the most prominent parts of the mix. Sometimes it felt that they were just a little bit too quiet, getting lost in the mix, so really make sure that the low end is thumping. But overall, musically, very good work. Cool. So here we have Vapors by Seth Robinson next. And then I believe we're also going to get to Jaws, the Slugs remix, and then Couldn't Sleep. All right. So this is Seth Robinson with Vapors. Thank you, Seth, for sending. All right, that was Seth Robinson with Vapors. Seth, thank you so much for sending that through. Super awesome chill trap banger with some nice ambience. The notes on your flute melody weren't quite harmonically lining up the whole time with your bass notes. So please just make sure that harmonically everything's in key with one another. And then the other thing was that the arrangement definitely kind of dragged a bit long. There's no real reason in my mind that this needs to be 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Maybe find some redundancies in your arrangement and kind of tighten it up a little bit, because it does get a little boring after a while. But other than that, very good work, Seth. Vapors. All right, here we have Peruvian Pal. Jaws, I will get to you next.
Morning with breaking news from South Carolina, where rescue crews are on the scene of an Amtrak train crash. Amtrak train 91, traveling from New York to Miami, hit. Now, the collision happened around 2:30 this morning local time. 139 passengers and 8 crewmen.
All right, that was Couldn't Sleep with Peruvian Pal. Excellent work, super sick, chill, hip-hop, lo-fi almost vibe. Really awesome samples, good switch-ups, pretty good mixing as well. Maybe having your kick and snare cut through a little bit. Maybe shortening the arrangement slightly. Other than that, very excellent work. Don't have much more to say on that. Thank you, Peruvian Pal. Here we have Jaws, Slugs remix. Okay, let's hear it. right, that was the Slugs remix of Goodies by Jaws. Slugs, excellent work. I really don't have much to say on that. Personally, not a huge fan of the genre, but you accomplish all the stylistic tropes excellently. Mixing is excellent. Everything is all good to go. Excellent work. Thank you for sending. Here we have the Beat Rick. Can't Get Along Master. Man, what a handsome young boy. All right. All right, that was Beat Rick with Can't Get Along. Solid work. Very quiet mix, though. It felt that the chords were just barely present at all, whereas your snare, clearly a medicine snare, by the way, it's quite loud. So really make sure that your chords, the super wide saw synths, need to be pretty much at the forefront of the mix for this kind of genre. But other than that, good chord progressions, good arrangement. But just please make sure it's loud. Make sure all your elements are audible. Cool. Let's move on to Madge Mason with Devil in Disguise. 6.5 minutes. That was Devil in Disguise by Madge Mason. Very well produced, dark synth waves, like Kavinsky, shit like that. I fuck with it. Your kick and snare don't seem to be cutting through the mix very well. They're pretty far back, and it seems like you've brick walled the whole thing. I think overall, introducing a little bit more dynamics in your track, having the breakdowns break down further, will really kind of make those drops sound more impactful than they do now. But other than that, very good sound design, real dark, awesome sounding. With regards to the donations, putting you in front of the roasting line, I've decided that it's no longer a good idea. So if you do choose to donate in the future, unfortunately, I can't guarantee you a place in line anymore. I just feel like it creates too much resentment in the comments and also makes the live streams go on longer than they otherwise would, because I have to get through all the tracks that have been accompanied with donations. But I really appreciate you guys donating. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's really great having you guys all be here and donating, supporting me. I really appreciate that. Fortunately, I can't guarantee in the future, at least, that a donation will turn into a roast. But thank you guys. I'm going to get through these last 4 or 5. Not Wonka and Commander Jr. I might have to get to you guys next time. But you will definitely be roasted at the next stream. Okay? Thank you guys. right, that was Mag's Power with Fangs. SolidWorks suffers from a similar problem as the previous track, both very dark synthy tracks. Once again, kick especially is not cutting through the mix in the way that it could. I think it's because you're using kind of like an 808 sound for the kick, and it just doesn't provide enough impact at the attack point. So maybe turn up the kick, maybe use a kick that's slightly more punchy or less sustained. And then I think in terms of arrangement, this could really benefit from a breakdown right in the middle there. I mean, it just basically goes on in the same pattern throughout, and I think using a breakdown there would be a really great compositional tool to kind of break up the monotony a little bit. But other than that, solid work. That was Mag's Power with Fangs. All right, let's go to Oh My No Way with Gap. Let's hear it. That was Gap Pizza with Oh My No Way. Yo, that was great, man. Super awesome atmosphere, really great instrumentation, super organic, luscious sounding. Keep working on that, man. I don't really have any critiques at the moment. I think this is a solid idea that you can extend into a fully fledged song. Beautiful. Wow. All right, here we have The One With You. Shout out to CF Steak for the donation and being an awesome student. CF, you've come a long way since we started doing lessons together, and I look forward to our next lesson. You're the man. I will spend that on a cappuccino. Thank you so much. Here we have The One With You by Chateau Rendem. I know that sample. All right, that was The One With You by Chateau Random. Excellent remix of a classic song. In terms of mixing, kick is a bit too clicky and in the forefront, snare / clap too far back in the mix. Maybe balance those a little bit closer together. And then I'm really not sure you need anything after the 350 mark. It just feels like the song kind of goes a little bit longer than it needs to, and that the overall impact is dulled because of it. But other than that, good work. All right, Set Me Ease by Winslow. This is our last roasting. Let's hear it. All right, Winslow. I could not ask for a better track to end the live stream on. That was fucking beautiful, man. You get a like and you get a repost. I have no qualms. Super awesome. Really excellently produced and mixed instrumental, lo-fi, kind of hip-hop, chill vibe. Awesome ear candy throughout. Really great drum programming. Great use of fills and space. Awesome, man. Excellent work. And thank you everyone who submitted. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sticking with me through the end of the live stream. Thank you to all the donators. I really appreciate that as well. Fortunately, like I said, I won't be offering guaranteed roastings in exchange for donation. That was a fun experiment, but unfortunately it didn't work out. It's all good. We all move on and grow. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to sign up for a private lesson, feel free to hit the link in the video description. Yeah, good shit, guys. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will see you next week. Peace.